Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of my Pogcraft series. It is finally time for us to move out of this beautiful garden that we've made, to move away from the shopping district, and to finally go to the place that I have chosen to set up as my base. So, last episode, I looked at a couple of different places. This episode, I'm going to reveal the place we're at, and I'm going to do that by heading out that way, setting up the portal on the roof to get us to the new place, and setting up a camp. So let's cut to the move, folks, and we'll be back as soon as the camp's set up. Oh, all right there. There's a little camp set up. We got our storage set back up. And now let's talk about what the plan for the season is. But I think to do this, we need a planning board. We need something that I can put some notes on, and we can start figuring out what I'm going to build. So let's put that together, and let's talk about what we're going to do for the base. Okay, this will work out pretty well, I think. We're going to do on the pale wood side, that's going to be farms. On the jungle side, that's going to be the more decorative stuff, the village itself, the houses, yada, yada, yada. So with that, let's start with what farms are we going to need to get started? So I know to really get started, I'm going to need to generate a lot of trees. A lot of the buildings I'm going to be doing, and I'll be posting as I do some of these builds, the pictures that I'm using for inspiration. A lot of the buildings are going to be wood, or I'm going to have a lot of wooden components. So for those, I'm going to need a tree farm. And most specifically, I need to do at least a 2x2 tree farm. So we're looking at, a 2x2 or general tree farm. It's possible. I like the idea of doing a more basic tree farm. One that allows me to cover lots of different wood types. Except for mangrove. I want nothing to do with mangrove. I will use mangrove when I need it, or if somebody has a store in the mall, I'll go buy it from there. But mangrove is just absolute. It's actual pain to deal with mangrove. And yeah, while I may have it as an accent piece or whatnot, I'm not going to have sufficient quantities of it this season to require making a mangrove farm. So we're not going to do that. So, but that actually can't be the first thing I do. So we're going to erase this, because to be able to do the tree farm, the first thing I actually need to have is going to be a bone meal farm. And if I'm going to do bone meal, I might as well do make it a moss and pale moss, and then have a farm that, depending on if and when I need the different types of blocks, I have the ability to generate them. Now, from that, Then we're definitely going to want to do the 2x2 or the regular tree farm or general tree farm. Now, the other thing, based on what I've been figuring out, looking at different pictures of Alpine villages, and again, we're focused mainly on like Swiss architecture here as my source of inspiration. So, and specifically Swiss houses. I want to say the Swiss industrial builds are not going to be atypical from other European or American or just that the Western Hemisphere style modern builds. As far as buildings go, we'll see. I've seen a couple of pictures that have inspired me to do something a little different, but we'll tackle those as we get into building the various items. So, regardless, for doing some of the different type of Swiss stuff, quite frequently you've got buildings that are big solid colors, and they're very boring colors, for lack of a term. So a building might be all gray stone, or it might be all white wood, or all dark wood. But the color comes in from things like shutters and doors and windows and banners and things of that nature. So to be able to fulfill handling things of that nature, what we're going to need is we're going to need to have lots of different dyes. So one of the reasons I like this area I'm in is I'm not that far away from a pretty extensive flower forest. So dye farms of various natures are going to be another thing we're going to build. We're going to, and if I'm going to do dye farms, I might as well cover all of them. So these are kind of the to get started farms that I'm going to want to build. Now, that's from the farm side of things. From the non-farm side of things, well, we've got quite a few things to do. One, terraforming. We have to terraform the hill, which is the hill that is going to go away. That hill needs to disappear. It is in the way of, I mean, the village is essentially going to be in this valley, so I need to make this a valley, and it's not a valley because this hill is in the way. So this hill, gone. We're going to get rid of it. It's going to go away, and the main village where the for lack of a better term, my free roaming villagers, they're going to go in this area. So there's a lot of terraforming. We got to cover up all these caves and entrances. I want this to be a big, wide open plains area that leads up to the hills and the mountains. So this will all need to be terraformed. There's extensive amount of that needs to be done. The other thing we're going to want to do is actually lay out the village. We want to the village. Well, let's qualify this by saying a basic layout of the village. So, and when I say basic layout, I mean we want to have a good idea of where, like, as we're looking at this stuff, main roads are at. We want to know where main roads are going to go here. We're going to want to know where the main road and probably a tunnel off to the industrial area, that's going to go through here somewhere. Those all need to be mapped out. The industrial area needs to be mapped out to some level because, I do want it to look all, nice and orderly and professional. So that's going to need to be done based on the streets tunnel to the industrial area. That's going to absolutely be a thing. So those are kind of the basics. So we'll need to do those. That's the non-farm side of things. Another farm we're going to need, as I'm thinking about it, is I'm going to need a creeper farm. So much as I can get gunpowder from my ghast farm that I use for the gas shop, I'm not going to need to farm a tremendous amount of ghasts to get gunpowder. I'm going to get far more ghast tiers and not anywhere near enough gunpowder for being able to do my own rockets. So a creeper farm for rockets is going to need to be a thing. For then to go along with rockets, I'm going to need a sugarcane farm. because I want to be able to craft my own rockets. Neither one of these two farms actually need to be particularly large, and in fact, they may be one farm. Let's make a note here. Maybe with creeper farm. Because maybe we'll just have what essentially is a rocket farm where the creeper and sugarcane farms just feed into each other, make rockets, and bada bing, bada bang, done. Because I don't really need a ton of gunpowder for anything other than rockets. I don't need a lot of TNT. I'm not going to be blowing a lot of stuff up. And I mean, let's be honest. If I need to blow stuff up, I can make end crystals. That's the best. That's super explosive. Those are more than good enough for. Even if they are dangerous, that's good enough. And yeah, I get lots of those. I can make lots of those. So those two farms need to be a thing. What else? I mean, again, this is all very initial. I guarantee as we start building this stuff out, I will get new ideas for new things I want to build. Once we have the basics done, I definitely want to do a blacksmithy, which is where my 2 or 3 blacksmiths are going to go. And actually, let's qualify this and call it a modern blacksmithy. So we're going to look around at how, when you see people doing blacksmithy work, what kind of buildings they're in, how do they look? That's kind of the thing I want to go for. And it may not work. And, I'll default to kind of your traditional old-timey blacksmithy if I can't come up with anything modernish that will work. But I definitely want to challenge myself, see what I can do with that. Along with that, we're going to need the librarian hall so I can have all my enchanting needs met. And then, of course, we also need, for the purpose of villages, farmers. Village. How do I want to phrase this? Because I don't want to misnomer the term. You know what? Actually, this kind of crosses between two things. This is actually more on this side. Villager breeder, we need that. Sorry, that needs to be a thing here. And then actual villager powered food farms. So I want to have, I do want to make some very widespread, you have the village, but then on the outskirt of the villages leading up into the mountains, you'll have farms and farmhouses, and those farms will be powered by farmers. And that's where I'll get things like my golden carrots. That's where I'll also generate beetroots and hay and other stuff in case I need them. If I have any animals to speak of, then I'll definitely want to have a wheat farm. Carrots are the big thing. I think I also do want to do some potatoes on the off chance that I can get poisonous potatoes more so than anything else, because might be useful for some various prankage. I don't know. We'll see. So, but they're lower on the list. They are low on the list, but the reality is I definitely want to get the golden carrot farm going and golden carrot trades. So it may be that I only have one farm, and more so because I want to have, some basic food stuff being generated, that could also either be used for food or fed in for bone meal, and more importantly, so I can trade with the farmers for golden carrots, because that needs to be a thing. Actually, I will trade with the villagers, come to think of it, because I will trade for emeralds, which I can then use to buy stuff, and the same thing for being able to trade for other stuff with the other villagers. The thing I am not doing this year is I am not doing a raid farm. I'm not going to try to deal with the new raid mechanics. I'll wait and see if it's somebody else in the server does that. I do not want to be the guinea pig for that. I've seen a couple different ways of doing it with the changes to raid mechanics. I don't know that I am a fan, but by the same token, it's not like farming ominous bottles is not terribly difficult. You can do that as a farm, and then once you have ominous bottles, you can basically cycle your way through raids pretty consistently. it's just some extra clicks and whatnot. And I don't think I want to deal with that. So that is, I think, what we're going to do to get started. This is kind of the initial plan. This will get me through the next several months of building. This gives me something I can work on a little bit every day. Well, I have a day job, so this is going to be stuff I'm going to knock out when I can, where I can. So I'm going to have to look at this. This is kind of a rough priority. But yeah, I may move some of this stuff around. I definitely need to terraform and do the basic layout of the village and get my streets and roads, the main roads, planned out really before I get too heavily into building. So I do need to do that. And the bone meal farm needs to come pretty quickly. We might actually knock that out. I'm thinking we're going to do that in maybe this episode. We'll see. I might need to just go ahead and plan on where I'm going to put some of the stuff, and then do my layouts to accommodate what I'm building for this video. So let me give that some thought. I think to get started though, I think the right answer is to get started is we need to terraform this hill. It needs to go away, and you know what? I've got a couple of beacons that will make that a lot easier, and that's going to give us plenty of dirt. That's going to give us plenty of dirt that we can then use to help cover in the holes. So let's get moving on that project. And there we go, folks. I think this is all the terraforming we're going to do. I think instead of digging any further now, this is the point at which I want to kind of level off the valley to where essentially the flat, I needed a large flat spot for the village to go onto, and I think this will qualify as that. I think the next step is going to be the next terraforming project, I should say, is going to be one. We're going to replace all this stone with dirt. So all this will come out. We'll have a large flat plane. Let's jump into Cheaty Cam for a second. And we're going to level, what we're going to do is, what I'm going to do is we're going to level off this area. So this flat plane we're going to flatten it all the way to the hillsides over here. So we're going to flatten and fill in these areas. I will form a much more gentle slope up to the mountains so that the plane smoothly merges into the mountainside. At the same time that we're doing that, as I'm doing that, I'm going to come through. This will all get leveled off. We're going to come in and fill in these giant caves, these openings at least, so that, again, this can all be part of the plane. These caves will all get filled in. And we'll do the same thing all the way around the valley. So through the northern entryway, through the eastern entryway, and up to this southern cliffside I have here. The cliffside's going to be stained, so we'll smooth out to here and then let it drop off into the water. And then we'll smooth up over here against the mountain. And depending on where I smooth it out at will determine where the probable tunnel is going to be that's going to take me into the my industrial district. So that's what we're going to do with this. But brain, yuck. But the next thing we're going to work on is it's time to work on my store. So I'm going to go in and I've got a lot of the materials already put together. So let's jump to a little bit of a build montage of building out the store. So my store, it's called Ghastly Goods. It is all about it's all about the stuff that comes out of the gas farm I've built. So it's things like end crystals, and for us, because we can resummon the dragon to get elytras, it's dragon summoning kits, potions of regeneration, etc. So what I think I'm going to do, I think this is an interesting idea, is the store is effectively the inside of a happy ghast. So when you walk in, it looks like you're walking into the interior spaces of a giant happy ghast face. So let's jump to that montage and let's see how it turns out. the store is now all officially done. I am absolutely loving how the store turned out. I've got my first couple of boxes of stuff in. Again, there'll be all sorts of ghast related items, dragon summoning kits. We're going to have some end crystals in here. So if people want to blow somebody up, they'll be able to do that. Potions of regeneration. Maybe of a couple of different varieties, because there's a couple of different ones you can make. I really do love how this turned out. So we've got some nice shelving here that helps, kind of just keep all the place all nice and clean. Put in some pale wood so it all blends in with the hallway. I really do adore this. So you notice that the last part of the montage here is, of course, we snuck in lighting. I did not want this to be all dark, as you can see. I wanted this to have lighting behind it. I wanted the whole quote unquote inside of the ghast lit up. So I hid lighting behind some trapdoors. Shulker boxes are entertainingly transparent. So, I mean, they're light transparent anyway. So those worked as a very effective way of putting lights behind and being able to have some colored areas, so the pupils, the ends of the little head wisps that are on top of the ghast. Because I can't put carpet on anything other than floors, which is kind of frustrating. I wish you could stick carpet on walls and ceiling and have it actually stick, but it's carpet, doesn't work that way. So there you go. So this is all set. So very happy with this. So now the thing we're going to switch to is the last part of this video, which is a little prank I pulled on my good server mate friend Sammy Terry, the one who keeps going after my head. And what's the best gift to give somebody who's a headhunter? Well, let me show you. There you go, folks. That's the gift you get for a headhunter. You get them a copy of your very own head. Well, giant-sized, of course. And that's going to be it for this episode of Pogcraft. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. It was a really build heavy episode this time. Hopefully next time there'll be a little more interaction. Still gonna get back to work on the base, so there'll be more building. There'll be more maybe some design talk, maybe some engineering, maybe do some redstone. Not entirely certain, but we'll see what happens in the next episode. So see you then, folks.